seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. All the man is out on the field.
That's another knockdown. You're not getting up, Jim. Get up.
You believe in miracles? Yes.
You are now listening to the All Things Sport Podcast with your hosts, Daimeon Banks and Pierre Banks on Spreaker Radio. Fellas, you know what to do.
What's happening? What's up? What's going on? It's the All Things Sport Podcast, and I'm Daimeon Banks.
And of course, I'm Pierre Banks.
Pierre, we are back for yet another week of ATS, as I love to call it, the All Things Sport Podcast, where you and myself give our listeners just that, all things sport. Pierre, what's happening, my man?
It's been a good week. Been a real good week, man. Aside from the fact that had to leave work a little early on Thursday, man, I cooked out for my birthday a couple weekends ago, which was Saturday before last.
Okay.
And so I had an excess of food left over, man. And you know my motto, you can't waste food, you can't waste money. So I've been eating off this food ever since, man. I think it's starting to catch up with me. I may have to slow down on it if I don't feel better by tomorrow.
So you're telling me that in order to not waste money, you are eating food that is past its expiration date. The food is possibly gone bad.
Your expiration date, we don't know what that is. The food is cooked. The food has been refrigerated. I'm still tricking off of it. I'm still eating it, because it's in the refrigerator. I can't just throw away good food, man. Come on. We grew up in the same household.
We did, but your birthday was April the 23rd. And you are still eating. That's 2 weeks, Pierre.
Yes, it is.
Come on, Pierre. Bruh, for real? You get a bruh for real. You cannot still be eating food from a cookout from 2 weeks ago, man. It's not meat. Are you still eating meat?
Yes. I'm still eating the Guantleys.
Bruh, for real?
I had to put the Guantley chicken franks on the grill, so I'm still eating those. Got the good, great value burgers. Those patties, still eating those. I'm doubling up on the burgers, though, so that I can make sure, waste not, want not. You don't want to eat a whole bunch of bread that'll get you full for no reason. So, I'm doubling up on the burgers and just, typical bad boy stuff.
This guy right here, ladies and gentlemen, if we are doing the All Things Sport podcast next week and I am riding solo, I'm flying solo, just know that my partner and my brother Pierre is not doing the show because he has E. coli poisoning. So I'll just keep an ear out for that next week to see if Pierre is still around, man, because this guy is still eating cookout food from 2 weeks ago. But we digress, man. Another week on the All Things Sport podcast. A lot of things going on in the sporting world. But before we get into the things that's going on in the sporting world, man, just want to say, man, it's been a roller coaster ride for me the last, week, man. My wife, LaShawn, she is approaching her due date of May the 18th for our first child, a girl, Loxley.
Yeah, look like she about to pop, man.
And she is also in graduate school getting her master's in business at Keenan Flagler at UNC. So it's been hectic in the Banks household, the Banks Boy Studios in Durham, North Carolina, man. We are, anticipating a smooth delivery. We're hoping for that. So it's been kind of hectic in the household, in the last week, man. Other than that, I'm just working, trying to, perfect my craft in this sporting news / anchor / journalist. I have a lot of hats that I wear. So other than that, man, I'm just maintaining, man. I hope you all out there in podcast listening land, I don't know what you guys are actually called. Hope you guys had a good week. Hope you enjoyed last week's show. But moving on to this week, Pierre, the show is jam-packed. The NBA playoffs is going on right now. We have a lot of boxing, big-time fights going on, and boxing fights matches that are coming up.
Absolutely, Daimeon. And we'll be joined later on in the show by my partner in crime, my co-host on In My Humble the Split Decision, Mr. Rudy Mondragon, returning from the depths. You know, with the return of Game of Thrones, I guess Rudy Mondragon decided to resurface as well, man.
Rudy Mondragon, a.k.a. Jon Snow. He has returned to us. The Lord Commander.
And I thought you wanted to talk about Game of Thrones, man, because I know how disappointed you were that Jon Snow made his return.
Whatever, that's you. I knew Jon Snow was coming back. I mean, Jon Snow was like the most popular guy on the show. You know they had to bring him back, man. Whatever.
But think about it, though. Think about how many lives have been lost in Westeros. How many lives have been lost in Slaver's Bay. How many lives have been lost on that show in general. And they decide to bring this dude back? What makes him so special?
Because he's the Lord Commander. You can't just kill the Lord Commander.
Get him out of here.
You can't kill the Lord Commander and expect for no repercussions to occur, man. Jon Snow is back on Game of Thrones. And, you know, some people are excited about it, i.e. myself. Some people are not so excited about it, i.e. Pierre. But we digress. Jon Snow, a.k.a. Rudy Mondragon, is on the show today. Going to talk a lot about boxing. Pierre and Rudy have the show on our YouTube channel, In My Humble the Split Decision. So they're going to be talking about boxing. Got Canelo Khan coming up. Berto knocked off Victor Ortiz's head this past weekend. Floyd talking about possibly coming back. So a lot going on in the world of boxing. And to just bookend the show, we're going to bring back a segment that we hadn't done in a couple weeks. We are going to end the show with our All Things Sport Real MVP. Pierre, the show is going to be insane in the membrane. Insane in the brain.
Absolutely, Daimeon. Going to be a great show. Let's go ahead and get it started with
the All Things Sport Hot Topic.
Fantastic and also insane in the membrane.
See, right now, you have the exact opposite of what was going on in round one. You have in round two, a lot of close matchups, a lot of great games, beginning in Air Canada up there with the Miami Heat going in to take on the Toronto Raptors. Not sure what's going on with the backcourt of the Toronto Raptors, except for I told you so. Those guys are very inconsistent. They're all-star players, but what separates them from the superstar players is that consistency.
Exactly, Pierre, exactly. NBA playoffs have ramped up. Miami has a 1-0 series lead. Game 2 is going on right now as we speak. And Miami took game 1 from Toronto. I don't know exactly what's going on with Toronto's All-Stars, DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry. The Raptors really depend on those two to set the tone to play well for them to be able to be successful. Game 1, I don't know what I think it started in the first round series. Kyle Lowry, All-Star this season for the second straight year. I don't know what's happened to Kyle Lowry. His confidence is gone. His shooting is down 11 percentage points. He's shooting about 31% in the playoffs, down from 42% during the regular season. I don't know what's wrong with Kyle Lowry. He's lost his confidence. I think he needs to talk to Mike Lowry to get his confidence back, because Kyle Lowry can't hit a shot right now.
And it's not just him. DeMar DeRozan is right behind him. His field goal percentage is not that higher than Kyle Lowry. And I don't know if they're just not comfortable in the position they're in. I don't know if they feel so much pressure to try to get over the hump. I mean, they have the home court advantage. They have the second best record in the East, but the confidence level is just not there for those two guys right now.
I think DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry, they definitely feel pressure, man, because Toronto hasn't, before they won that first round series, they hadn't won a series in, about 11 years. So they're definitely feeling the pressure. They've had really good regular seasons for the past 2-3 years without much playoff success. So they finally got over that first round hump this season. But now they're taking on a seasoned Miami Heat team. Dwayne Wade is still there playing well. Dragic is playing well.
He playing out of his mind.
Miami is playing really well right now, and they don't fear Toronto. So there's no fear factor in that series series with the Heat and the Raptors, and all the pressure is on Toronto because they haven't been there before. Miami has been there before, so it's a lot of pressure on the Raptors, and they're kind of caving into the pressure after game one. They definitely caved into that pressure. So it remains to be seen how long this series will go. As DeRozan and Lowry goes, so goes the Raptors.
And I don't think enough credit is given to Eric Spoelstra right now. I mean, you're looking at a coach who lost essentially his best player, the player that averaged the most points for his team and hadn't been there for the majority of the season. So what did he do? All he did was moved Lou Alding to that 4 position, changed up the whole philosophy of the team, the whole philosophy of the offense, and it's done wonders for the Miami Heat. Look at what they've done. They've now gotten themselves in a position to where they've stolen the game on the road, and now they have the home court advantage. They're setting themselves up with a matchup where a lot of people feel like, especially after game 2, transitioning to that next game in the Eastern Conference semis with your boy, LeBron James. I'm glad that was a beautiful segue. You segued that into the other Eastern Conference semifinals matchup, the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Atlanta Hawks. My feeling about the Cavs. The Cavs are going to be playing in the NBA Finals, barring a collapse. They're just a better team than all the teams in the East, and they have the best player of those teams. So I'm going to roll with the Cavs. Had a large lead in their first game of that series with the Atlanta Hawks, blew that lead and let Atlanta get back in the game. Ultimately, though, the Cavs were able to pull out game 1. Now, game 2 was ridiculous. NBA record 25 3-pointers made by the Cleveland Cavaliers. They were up by 41 points at one point in that game over the Atlanta Hawks. And, I think that series is over. Atlanta may win one game in Atlanta, but I don't even think they're going to win that one game. Cleveland is really gelling right now. They're not playing like the same Cavalier team from the regular season. They're shooting a large amount of threes. I mean, they are essentially the Golden State Warriors of the Eastern Conference. They shoot threes, at an astounding clip, and they hit their good share of those 3-pointers. So I think it's not a contest in that second round series between the Cavs and the Hawks. I think Cleveland is going to take this one 4-1, if not sweeping the Atlanta Hawks for the second straight season. And that's a good comparison that you make between the Cavs and the Warriors, but where the Cavs have the advantage right now over the Warriors, and it's hard to say that anybody has an advantage over the Golden State Warriors, but what they do is rebounding, offensive rebounding, defensive rebounding. Tristan Thompson is something else. That guy plays harder than just about anybody in the league. And if you're needing a rebound, a second chance opportunity, he's your guy. And then Kevin Love, he may not be in the post most of the time, but when he is, he can get rebounds as well. A lot of people are forgetting this was an automatic double-double guy when he was in Minnesota. So they have that length down low to where they can take advantage of that, and that's what separates them most of the time from other teams in the Eastern Conference. Let's see if that advantage holds true, if they do indeed make it past this round, Eastern Conference Finals, and make it into the finals, and the Golden State Warriors can do the same thing on their side.
I just think that in the Eastern Conference, man, that is going to be the Cavs and probably Miami in that finals. And the Cavs and the Miami Heat will be an interesting Eastern Conference Finals, because the history between, of course, LeBron played for Miami, won his 2 championships there after he left Cleveland. And Dwayne Wade, his good buddy, is still there. And, Miami could pose, a bit of resistance for the Cavs, but I don't see anyone in the East beating the Cavs. Man, you got LeBron James. He is still right now playing at such a high level. Although he is 31 years of age, he's a spry 31-year-old. Looks like, they're going to be rolling in the Eastern Conference. So, Pierre, moving over to the other side of the country in the Western Conference. Start off with the Golden State Warriors and the Portland Trail Blazers. Golden State.
Poor Damian Lillard.
Golden State is still without Steph Curry.
Damian Lillard.
Portland got through that first round series with the hobbled LA Clippers, so their reward were to play the defending champion Golden State Warriors. Even though they don't have Steph Curry, man, the Warriors are playing pretty well. Right now they have a 2-0 lead in that series. As the series goes along, and if Steph Curry comes back into that lineup, how do you see that series playing out?
In short, the Portland Trail Blazers don't stand a chance. This is a team that came out and fired